Welcome again to Gene and Roger Talk Movies. I'm Roger, here with Gene.
And more people.
And we've got Tykan back with us again. I don't know.
Why?
It's
Why
almost
is
like...
he
I
still
thought
here?
it was banished.
Yeah, I know. It's getting close. It's getting close.
We need to discuss the lore book about my banishment now.
But Tykan, can you introduce your lovely wife to us?
Yes, this is my lovely wife, Megan. We all have something in common to this podcast today. Something we all have watched
Right.
together.
So, Megan,
This movie.
thanks for coming in today because we're doing A Quiet Place today.
Yep.
And Tykan was like, hey, my wife can sit in on that. And
Right.
Gene and Roger said, okay, we're down with that.
Yeah.
So-
So you have to thank the guy.
And so, A Quiet Place, actually, I do need to shout out, and thank you, Gene, for reminding me to thank the guy. This was our first ever request. We got a little note saying, hey, can you guys do A Quiet Place? And it was our listener, John Wheeler. This was back in October, so sorry, John, it took us forever, but here it
Yeah,
is for you, A
here it
Quiet
is.
Place.
6 months later.
And so, Gene, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Quiet Place. I mean, does it really fit the definition of horror? I think not. But it's a good movie. It's a suspense. It's entertaining. It's well put together. If you really think about it, I mean, I think it's full of holes. But you have to just kind of watch it for what it is, and it's just for what they produced and what they made. I think it really works. I think if you're willing to look a little deeper, there are some good themes running through it. Some themes of self-sacrifice, also some, I think, a little topic about disability, a life of being disabled, So I think there's a little message of that in there, which is good. It's kind of refreshing, actually. So
Right.
it's good stuff. It's a good movie.
Tykan, where are you at?
Well, A Quiet Place is an amazing movie in my book. It really covers all of the check marks I need for a good movie. Good monster? Absolutely. Great sci-fi? Yep. A touching story about a family trying to make it in this world? 100% a check. It's really fantastic, and especially because I've never seen John, I'm going to mispronounce
Krasinski.
direct and
Jim
write
from The
before.
Office.
Jim from The Office. He
Yeah.
is a fantastic director and a writer in my book, even though there's the plot holes, but there's things you can actually, forgive because the overall movie is so good.
Great. Megan, where are you
Good.
at with this thing?
I really enjoyed it. Usually I'm not a big fan of scary movies at all, but it's that type of movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
There was
That's good,
many
it does.
times I was holding my breath and was like, what's going to happen? And, right when you first start the movie and you know that there's not a lot of dialogue. You're like, man, I feel like that's going to be the most boring movie ever. But then you watch it and it's like, what's going to happen?
Right, and I agree
good.
with that.
That's
It's
good.
it's a PG-13 movie, but this is a PG-13 movie that actually shows you what can be accomplished under the constraints of a PG-13, because I really do think there's a point where the intensity level really ramps up and it doesn't come back down again until the last
almost the
scene of
very
the
end.
movie, right, when she
Yeah.
cocks the shotgun.
See a
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, and I really loved that about this film, and I
Yeah,
had
it stays
forgotten
pretty high.
that the first time I watched it. And so I could see how the general populace would really get into this film because it's a quiet place until about that midpoint.
There's a
and then
midpoint
it's
when they're
just
coming
ramped
back
up.
from the water place,
Mhm.
and they discover that the lights are red, like Evelyn has turned them on red.
Mhm.
So
Right,
she's having
and-
a baby.
And that's for those of you that have not seen this film, basically some sort of alien species has invaded the Earth. They
Right.
operate solely by sound. One of the things I liked, Gene, about some social commentary is very early you get these quick glimpses of a newspaper where it
Yep.
says the president is leading a prayer session. Government says you're on your own, and it's like,
There's
I didn't even
one
notice
article
that.
says go underground.
yeah, go on,
Yeah.
and so it's like, yeah, not even the government can help you anymore.
Right, I think the one says you're on your own.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
it. That I loved that line and that headline there, where you're on your own, because we have been in those situations at various points in our history where the government just kind of was like, we can't help you anymore, and you got to just deal with it on your own. And so it's just how quickly the whole society collapsed, because the movie also opens with a scene that is perfect and surprising for a PG-13 movie, right? Gene, you and I both know that one of the kind of unspoken rules of horror is you can put kids in peril all you want,
Yeah.
but you don't straight up kill them.
Never kill the children.
And so when a horror movie wants to go down that road and do that, I appreciate that, because then suddenly all bets are off. Every one of these characters is completely expendable, and
Right.
there's no point where you're watching this movie going, yep, oh, that person, because it's this person, they're going to be fine, because the very first kill we see is a child. He was 4 years old, and this creature
I would think even
straight
younger.
up killed him. Well, the gravestone
dialogue?
was like 2016 to 2020
Okay.
or whatever.
And that's the thing about great movies too, is when characters' deaths are actually meaningful. Because there's a lot of movies out there, especially in the horror genre, where death is kind of like a meaningless consequence. Okay, well, there they go, they're dead, bye. But in A Quiet Place in particular, you can feel the emotional impact of every single character's death in that whole movie, especially with a 6-year-old youngest son. The survivor's guilt.
Yeah, so there's the mom and the dad. There's the
youngest
older daughter,
Older
who
daughter.
is,
Yeah, older daughter,
who
yeah.
is deaf, and then there's the
Son.
younger son, and then there's this 4-year-old
Right.
who is the one that got killed.
The older daughter feels so much survivor's guilt because she gave her younger brother the rocket ship.
Right.
That this plays into a huge effect for majority of the whole movie, to the point where she doesn't even think that her own father loves her, due to thinking that John's character, blames her for her little brother's death.
Right, and well, and the mother is going through the same thing. Remember, because she was saying,
Exactly.
I could have carried him.
Yeah,
And so
she goes through a big soliloquy. She's talking about, my arms are free. I could have carried him. This is, of course, years later.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, because it
Yeah, I
was
think
like
it's
day
87.
89, and then it was like 247 days after that. The movie jumps ahead a little
Right.
bit.
There are days
Yeah.
indications. Yeah.
And so, Megan, when you saw that innocent little child get completely taken out of the picture, what were you thinking at that point?
My jaw just dropped, honestly. Like, I could feel the emotion of the father as he's running towards him, like in hopes that he's fast enough to save him. There was just so much emotion involved, because even the mother and the other kid and the daughter behind him, just their faces just watching this whole thing happen. And like I was telling Tykan earlier, you guys were discussing the emotions of the daughter and how she blamed herself basically for him getting killed. Well, I was thinking later on in that movie, the mother is with the son that's a little bit older, and she said, you're gonna be okay. Your father is gonna be there for you. And I said to Tykan, I said, how can he ever believe that when he literally watched his little brother get killed right in front of his dad? Like, his dad didn't save him, so what makes you think that he's gonna be there to save you? So I think that there's a lot of emotion on the part of the daughter, but also on the part of the older brother too.
I totally
that's-
agree.
Yeah, absolutely a great point there.
Yeah, I don't know. So like, I think for me, I see their lives as the totality of the thing. It's like, I think this is the commentary on disability, is that of course we think that being deaf is a disability, but I think in this movie it shows that they have to live a life that's totally quiet. But if you really look at their life, is their life really any less or any deprived, or is it any less meaningful than any life that we have as normal hearing adults? No, I think not, because they're living on a huge farm. It's a successful farm. They're growing lots of crops. They have a whole silo full of grain. They've developed defense mechanisms against these creatures that have worked spectacularly well. And they eat dinners together. The mom is teaching the little kid math. So they have lived a normal life. And I think, Megan, I think in a way, I think that the son can really believe the father, because the father, well, who is the one who's really leading this whole farm? Of course it's the parents, but I think it's the dad. His
Oh, totally.
Yep.
he's in charge of the agriculture and the harvesting, and his doing his best to fix the cochlear implants for his daughter. You know, and you can tell he's really working hard on it. He has his plans, is trying to find out the vulnerabilities of these creatures, you know. So, you know, I think, you know, through his sheer force of will and his actions, I think, you know, he's trying to show his kids that, he is in charge of their lives and he can protect them. You know, because I think he protected them until everything fell apart when the wife started having a baby.
How dare
You know?
she have a child 2 weeks
I know.
early?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 weeks
Come
early.
on.
But until that moment, he was very successful. And they were successful for, you know, from the time that the little kid died until the baby came, 400 days or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think too, though, that it's, you know, not only is he in charge, but he does do the ultimate sacrifice.
He does.
Right? And so I see both versions here where, yeah, that kid is definitely not wanting to go out with his dad out into the wilderness to find supplies or whatever they're going to do. Because, yeah, you're right. He saw his own brother get slaughtered, but then here he also witnesses his dad sacrificing himself for his own safety.
Yeah.
too.
But I think he trusts his dad because you remember they were going out on a trip, and I think he was a little reluctant to go, wasn't he? And the daughter wanted to go, and he told the daughter, "No, you're not going to go." And then she's all full of teen angst, and she's mad, you know, mad teenager. But they go off, and they have a great time, and he introduces him to this waterfall, and that you could talk normally, you know, under a waterfall because it drowns out all the noise. So it was like a revelation for the kid.
Right, as long as the sound you're causing is not greater than the ambient sound, you're safe. And so he had been really figuring things out and everything else. And then, of course, inadvertently created the solution to the whole problem with that cochlear implant.
Right, exactly.
Sound bombs.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's really funny. You can see the polarity between the daughter and the son in this situation, right? The son absolutely does not want to go and would rather be safe in the farm because he's so traumatized with the previous events, while the daughter is totally gung-ho to go on this adventure, be as reckless as possible. There's been plenty of times during her time in this movie where she made some really reckless moves.
Right.
And that goes again to what I believe is survivor's guilt on her side.
Could be. I mean, because she's the one that wanted to leave the silo because Dad wasn't going to come, as far as she was concerned, and she's ultimately the reason the dad ended up getting killed.
Yeah, because if they had
break it down,
followed directions, I'm sure the direction was to stay in the silo, right? And just wait till I come. And the kid is like, well, I'm going to wait. And she was, you're right. I think, you know, survivor's guilt could be there. You know, but she's the driving force to getting off that silo.
But I think going back to your point too, Gene, about how they were still able to create some sort of life for themselves, that to me is kind of like, I mean, you think about Ukraine right now. There's people living there going about their daily lives while buildings around them have been blowing up.
Right,
you know,
right.
and so it's a real similar type situation or feel there where at any moment they could be killed, but they're still having to do the basic things to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it maybe shows people are remarkably adaptable. You know, we could adapt to a lot of, you know, people can be amazingly resilient.
Right, that's the key. It's the resiliency piece there. And so, Megan, one of my favorite scenes is when the mother is carrying the laundry up the stairs and gets it caught on this nail, and the nail comes straight up, right? And you know, anytime you see in a horror movie something like that happen, someone's foot is going to go through that nail.
Foreshadow.
Right. And it couldn't have happened at a better time as well, because the mom is having some difficulties here with this childbirth.
She's in labor.
Walking down the stairs, and she rams that nail right through her foot. Where were you at as far as your anxiety levels when that was going on?
Oh, my heart rate was through the roof. That was a hard scene to watch, honestly. Like, you pretty much knew in the back of your head that she was gonna step on it. But watching her pull her foot back off of it was so hard. And I have to commemorate her, really, because she's in labor. Her water's already broken at that point. Yep. She knows that the creature is in the house, and she stabs her foot on this nail. She has to pull her foot off while in the middle of having a child, and yet she remains calm through all of it.
Can't make any noise.
Like, she's silently crying, and it's just, it's so much emotion. It's crazy. But I commemorate the woman. Like, it takes a lot of strength to go through that much and be quiet.
Right, and I just think that from that moment there, when the labor pains start to happen, that movie again just ratchets the intensity up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it doesn't stop. And that's one of the beautiful things about this PG-13 movie, where it's probably the best one there is as far as the intensity level.
Yeah, they put the little baby in the box, and then for some reason, I still haven't quite figured this out. The basement starts flooding. I don't know. Why is that basement flooding with water?
No,
The pipe.
It's
The
flooding,
pipe.
yeah,
Because
because
the pipe, but why did the pipe break? Did I miss something?
Yeah, because when the dad went back up there to go find the kids, that creature had just wrecked that whole space up there, remember? Because the creature was coming after them. They go down into that thing, cover it up, then it's all soundproofed. But you could hear that creature smashing crap up there, and then when the dad goes back up, the place is trashed.
Mm-hmm.
So that creature had just pulled that pipe right out of the wall. or whatever.
Well,
So we can
okay.
we confirm this is not a part of the birth plan, or I don't think this is a part of her birth plan.
No. Well, and they had it all planned out, which is the other good thing too.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's all-
intuitive.
they had
all
It's so
planned out.
intuitive.
And then there's this one thing that happens, and it's all through the roof then.
It's going to be a hefty chart note.
But so, Megan, you don't watch horror movies too often.
No,
I'm disappointed in that.
I don't like horror movies because I get nightmares super easy.
Oh,
but
no, we don't want
I
that.
am a sci-fi fan, so I do
Oh,
like
okay.
aliens.
Okay.
That's why I like this movie, is because it still had aliens in it.
Like Alien Part 2?
Is that the good one or the bad one?
So if it's anything 3 and above, we don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah. It's got your Alien and then Aliens.
That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alien
Yeah.
1, Alien 2.
Yeah.
Alien
Sigourney
1.
Weaver is Alien.
Yeah,
Well,
those are good ones.
Yeah. So did you you didn't have any nightmares from this movie, or did you?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, that's good. I
You'll
think
be
this is a
nightmare
movie.
free.
This movie is one that, under the right circumstances, you certainly could have a nightmare about. Because I love that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the intensity, and I love how the movie, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just stops, right?
it just stops, right?
Texas Chainsaw, Leatherface waving that chainsaw around, crazy ladies screaming, and that's it. This one,
What was her name in Texas? Just crazy.
Sally.
Sally.
So, but in this one, they've kind of finally figured out that these creatures, while they respond to noise, they can have an adverse response to certain types of noise, which
High pitch ringing.
which the father had inadvertently stumbled across. And so then they've discovered this, and they end up killing one of the creatures. And the last scene of the movie is the mom, Emily Blunt, just cocking this shotgun because they're ready to go to war now.
Yeah, because she killed one with a shotgun blast. Of course, shotguns are exceedingly loud, and so they could see on their cameras a lot of these creatures were coming. But now they have a weapon against them. As soon as they come down the steps, which they have to, they'll just turn the thing on, immobilize them, and shoot them.
I
Well,
think,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
I think that's the only part of the movie I don't like is that cliffhanger.
Oh, I love it.
That's the
No, it's
only
good.
part
I
I
like
don't
that.
like.
I like movies that it just kind of leaves it up in the air.
Because we knew they were going to make a second Quiet Place. I mean, you don't just leave a cliffhanger like that expecting, oh, wait, that's it. That's it. That's the whole movie. Imagine if they did not make a Quiet Place 2, right? And there was only a Quiet Place. And for the rest of eternity, you only know that shotgun was ready to go. And
I'm
that's
okay
it.
with that.
Yeah, some of the greatest movies of all time end that way.
Ambiguous.
And the fact is, there was a time when there wasn't a sequel, right? Had A Quiet Place only made $5 million at the box office, there wasn't
There
going to
would
be
never
a
be a-
sequel.
There would
Two.
never be a sequel.
And the sequel is fine. It's not anywhere near the level of
Right.
quality as this first one. But no, I love movies like that. And,
Yeah,
Texas
one of the-
Chainsaw's one.
One of the
this
first
one's one.
movies we reviewed, the movie Alien, has a great ending like that.
Well, and The Thing, of course, is.
Yeah, I
The
said
Thing.
Alien.
Mhm.
I misspoke. I said Alien. I guess
Yeah.
because we were talking about it earlier.
The
But yeah, The
greatest
Thing.
one.
The Thing is
Mhm.
like
The
that.
Thing is like that too, and so it's really cool. The other thing I liked is the score. I haven't talked about scores
Score's
for quite a
amazing.
while, but this one is great, and I love how this movie plays with sound and the lack of sound. When sound occurs in this film, it is jarring and upsetting, and really setting the tone for the overall ratcheting up of tension. And sometimes the sound is nothing. It was two raccoons or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But because everything is so quiet, like you were saying, Megan, where early on they're all just doing sign language and it's subtitled and all this stuff. And then suddenly you'll get this jarring noise, which is like, oh, it's got to be one of the creatures or something. Or we've just signaled the creatures that we're here, and I loved that.
Yeah, I like the part where they run into the old guy. Remember the old guy?
Oh man, that was intense. Like, please don't do it. I know what you want to do. No, do not open your mouth. Don't. You opened your mouth. Good job. We're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, that part dealt kind of with that theme of self-sacrifice. His wife had been killed. It looked like, and so he didn't really. It seemed to me like he didn't have anything to live for anymore, because his purpose was to like take care of her, but he had failed in that purpose to take care of her.
Yeah, so sacrifice everyone else.
He had failed in his purpose, so he was ready to give up his life
and everyone else's.
But he clearly didn't care.
He clearly didn't care.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think he was trying to get them killed. I think he was ready to commit suicide at that point because his wife was gone. He had failed. So why not kill himself?
Because there's a father and a boy literally like, don't do it. And he's like, I'm going to do it. No, don't do it. I'm going to do it. I mean,
well, I think he was beyond rationality. It's just like, I don't know. I think people can reach a state where, talking and trying to be logical. Well, that's just not going to work.
Right.
Psychosis does that.
And I think
he was there.
Yeah, because this isn't something that just happened last week. This has been 400 some plus days of this complete invasion.
Right.
We have lost. Right. There's no societal structure anymore, and at some point, some people are just going to pack it in and go, it's not worth continuing. And he had lost his wife, or whoever that was.
Right. Yeah, we're thinking it's his wife.
And it was time to go. So the other thing I really enjoyed about this film, and it's a stupid one scene thing, was the birds flying. So apparently these creatures can't fly.
Nope.
Because the birds were doing okay.
You would think because they're so attracted to sound, there would be pretty much no animals around, right? You can even see like in the scene where the raccoon does his whole spook scare, and the raccoon dies because it was making sound. So obviously they're attracted to any little sound. It will go after set sound and aggression. So you would think that would be like no animals.
Yeah, birds are hanging in the trees and flying around doing just fine.
Yeah, birds do whatever they want.
So just be a bird.
And did you guys notice at the beginning when they're in the little convenience store and she's looking for medicine and stuff like that? Did you see in the background what was fully stocked and not touched?
I actually didn't. What was it?
All those bags of chips.
Oh my gosh.
I totally missed that.
It's too much carbohydrates. We can't eat it.
Can't be opening the chip bags and crunching on chips because you'll get killed.
That's a travesty of justice. Can you live in a world where you can't eat potato chips?
Well, again, it goes to shows that do we need those? Nope.
Right. Yeah.
You don't need it, but you want it.
Well, and I liked too how they had created pathways all throughout their property.
Oh, that's so brilliant! I noticed that.
Softer material so you don't make sound, and they had marked places where you can stand in the house where it's not going to creak the boards.
Yeah.
See,
I think it's an example of the dad, taking care of the. Of
They're
the
just amazingly intuitive of how to survive this, and partially it goes to again that they have a deaf daughter, so they were able to adapt even before the whole alien invasion happened.
Yeah, they're probably somewhat used to it. They knew how to sign.
But the engineering and the intuitive to make sure that everything is safe as possible. Normally people just die on the first day. You just go on the toilet, probably half the population died.
Right.
Day.
Well, yeah. Under your very insightful commentary there, Tykan, yeah, there was a lot of people that died right away.
A lot of people died right away.
Yeah, we start with day 87, I think.
Gene, anything else we need to talk about this movie?
No, I kind of like its commentary on. We talked a little bit about disability. I like that. So it's a good thing to think about. I think we as able-bodied humans, we think we need all these things, but I think we're more resilient than we think, so we should give ourselves more credit, So I like the message of the movie.
Tykan, where are you at?
Going back to being a PG-13 rating, you can see you can do a lot within a rating and still have a fantastic movie. At the end of the day, it's not about the blood, the gore, the killer. It's about writing. If you have great writing and great actors and a great director, you can make the best PG-13 movie and it'll be up the top with any rated R or rated MA movies you can find.
Right. We haven't talked about the acting, but it is across the board.
It's
excellent.
amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A Quiet Place, it's a quiet applause out of 10 for me.
Very good. Megan, what's your final thoughts on this?
I think it was a great movie overall. The motion, the soundtrack, the plot, pretty much everything was really great. And it's probably one of the only movies I can say that I'm glad somebody died.
Oh my God.
Were you glad that who died? The old
dad.
guy?
The dad.
Oh, you're glad
actually.
the dad died?
Yeah,
you for
because
dying,
if you
Dad.
think about his relationship with his daughter, you know, she like you said, kind of had that teenage sass and
yeah.
was like really pissed off at him for half the movie. And at first, when the dad first gets killed, you're like, well, how are they ever going to repair their relationship? She's just pissed. And I'm kind of glad that he did, because it was after he died and she found all of his research in the basement that she realized how much he did actually
Right.
love her.
It's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was an appropriate death scene and not a wasted character moment there. I think, John Wheeler, once again, thanks for recommending this. For PG-13, this is a beautiful film. The intensity, love it. It just ratchets up and it stays there for about 42 minutes.
Yeah,
and
the
it's
last
great.
half of the movie.
And you can't lose with A Quiet Place, I guess is the point. And if there was an unrated edition with tons of blood and gore, I would be down with that. So,
Yeah.
so Tykan. So, Gene, you're going on vacation. I'm actually leaving for a while, so we might be taking a little bit of a break. But
Yeah, maybe that episode we have in the closet.
Yeah, I know. At
People
some
under the
point,
stairs.
at some point, people under
Just
the
ha-
stairs will be posted.
Yeah, maybe just got to edit
You
that
know,
thing.
a little bit of an editing chore with that one because we went just off the rails in that one. But other than that, we will see you as soon as we get back and are ready to rock and roll again
All right.
with some sort of movie about
Something.
something horrifying.
Terrifying.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.